Tony, $100. Live versus the field, meaning the winner of the Masters will either be a current live player or not. You taking live or the field?
No chance.
Which one? So you're taking the field?
Give me the field, yeah.
It's not going to be Brooks. It's not going to be DJ, Cam Smith.
No.
Not Phil? Not Phil, not Jake?
No, not Phil.
Okay. All right. Welcome back, everybody. No putts given. Chris Nickel, Tony Covey, Golf Spy, T Golf Spy, C on the interwebs and those things. Tony, it's Masters Week on a scale of 1 to 10. How excited are you?
At least a 3.
Yeah.
It's like golf excited, right?
Well, I mean, that's fair. How excited are you when like the snow melts on a scale of 1 to 10?
Yeah, it's solidly like an 8.
Yeah. So you're basically doing backflips.
Yeah, I mean, I might watch a little. You know me.
Ooh.
I'm not a big TV golf guy, so
that's gonna come to fruition here a little bit later when we get to some of the mailbag questions.
I did sign up for the Peacock, which
what is that?
Probably not relevant. It's just more. I'm ditching YouTube TV, so
okay.
I had to do something.
Yeah,
I get lots of metric football with it, so it's all good.
The La Liga and Premier stuff, right?
Premier League,
is that right?
yeah.
Is that close?
Yeah.
I don't.
La Liga is
my
ESPN Plus. All right.
Oh,
you gotta know.
All right. Well, so it is. We got a couple new things this week, Tony. Like I said, it's Masters Week. We're going to dive into that a little bit. Snell Golf.
Snell Golf. Oh, my God. Yeah.
They were gone, back from the dead. The Phoenix rises again. Where'd they go? What the hell happened? We're going to get into that a little bit. Vokey has a new-ish something to captivate your
something
attention.
Special.
Little something, at least a little something worth mentioning. And then, like I said, it's Masters Week. I found this really old Masters shirt in my closet. This is one of those like heavy cotton ones that if it gets wet, it weighs like 16 to 18 pounds.
That looks very like vintage 1980. Before we had high-tech material kind of thing.
It's one of those ones like where the collar stays up on its own. Like if you really need to do the pop the collar thing, it's robust. It's heavy.
It's the kind of golf shirt I would suggest no one play golf in.
No, never. But it's Masters Week, so I'm gonna wear it.
It's not a shirt for a sweater.
I'm gonna wear it at least 4 days in a row this week, Tony. Maybe 5.
Yeah, that's fair.
But alas, Snell Golf. So let's get into that.
Remember them?
Right. It's like I said, a little blast from the past. So first of all, where did they go? We have not heard from Snell. It seems like they kind of fell off the face of the earth a little bit through no fault of their own, which we'll get to. But where'd they go?
Yeah, there have been pointed this out in the article for the overwhelming majority of the golf equipment industry. COVID turned out to be a blessing. As crappy as that is to kind of say, it actually has been a huge blessing for the golf industry as a whole. Equipment, certainly, we look at the reports, sales up, starting to level off, rounds played up, every metric you can think of.
Yeah.
Up. Snell Golf, on the other hand, ran into some supply chain difficulties, probably harder than most. We talked about ionomer being in short supply, and then based on
which is a material.
Yeah, it's
your important
cover layer on 2-piece balls, your mantle / casing layer on 3, 4, 5-piece urethane balls. So kind of an important material, and it was tough for Dean to get with the quantities, the size of his order, right? So kind of a low priority customer to begin with, and then we've talked about it a little bit, some priority changes at the factory. How's that? Is that tactful?
Let's talk about that because you can't, like I said, you can't make a golf ball without ionomer. It's either the cover or it's a casing layer,
or 3
or 3 or 4. Like you can't. Yeah, can't make a golf ball without it, and when it's tough to get, you can't really make golf balls. So okay, fine. There were two pretty reputable, if we let's call it this, like in that DTC world, unless you own your own factories, unless you're, again, Titleist, Bridgestone, etc. TaylorMade getting into this area obviously now, but if you weren't part of that group, the only place to get cast urethane golf balls, which again, one isn't necessarily better than the other, but a lot of people had a preference for it. TaylorMade is a cast urethane product. Titleist is a cast urethane product. Titleist cast urethane, TaylorMade cast urethane, Bridgestone injection molded, Callaway injection molded. Anyway, Foremost in Nassau, right, were kind of the two premier
Those were the guys that did it. Really, I mean,
and it's hard to do, right? Hard to get right.
Hard to navigate patents. I mean, there's a lot, there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that goes on that, sort of dictates who can do what from a technology standpoint. So I'm sure that's a piece of it as well. But yeah, very, very few places in the world you can have a cast urethane golf ball made.
Pretty much those two. And formerly Snell was with
Nassau.
So had that relationship there. Again, tight, good inventory, etc. TaylorMade came in and
acquired,
flipped the switch a
purchased,
little bit.
And yeah, so
acquired, purchased, Nassau. Now it's what, TaylorMade Korea? Is that right?
I think that's what it's being called. Yeah, that's how they branded it.
Which makes sense. So now TaylorMade can control a little bit more of the verticals within that control inventory. Now they are their own number one customer. And given what they need to do at this point, there's not a lot of capacity there for anybody else, right?
No, and that's still true. Again, as much as I think we're going to see things level off and maybe dip a little bit, we're still at a point where golf balls in particular, it's very difficult for anybody, even Titleist, TaylorMade, Bridgestone, name it, to keep up with the demand to pump out as many golf balls as they would like. So if you are TaylorMade and you can't make enough to satisfy demand under your own brand, it becomes very difficult to justify kind of giving some time on the line to somebody else.
Yeah, but they didn't. So Nassau, now again, formerly Nassau, TaylorMade Korea, whatever we want to term it, they did more or less shut the door, kick to the curb, shut the door on a number of other companies that had previously maybe run some small orders through them, but not Snell. Snell didn't get caught up in that, right? We chatted with Dean a little bit, and it seemed to me he was like, "Hey, no, it's all good with TaylorMade. We have a great relationship. We didn't get kicked out. It's just, it literally is, we only got so many seats at the table, and we got to fulfill those first."
Yeah, it's a long line right now, and Dean sort of left the door open. They say, maybe at some point in the future we'll go back. That door is open to us, but there is again, capacity issue. So until such time as that factory either sizes up somehow or demand decreases, TaylorMade is going to make TaylorMade golf balls there, and that's going to be the extent of it. So
we have kind of.
And Dean was like, "Yeah, it is what it is. No hard feelings. It's a great relationship." Said the communication has been excellent with TaylorMade. So, I mean, I think he would have preferred to be able to keep making balls and trim them out and not effectively have zero inventory for the last several months. But again, it is what it is, and so this is, almost a rebirth of sorts for the Snell Golf brand.
Well, yeah, let's talk about that too, because like I said, for a lot of companies, there are silver linings to what was otherwise a very difficult time throughout COVID, et cetera. And part of that was the forced kind of hiatus almost from the ball industry for Snell and team when, you've sold through whatever inventory you have. You can't get new inventory in. You're kind of sitting there going, all right, well, what do we do now? So what did they do during that time?
Well, first they made a new logo.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
I think it's better. I mean, I think in general, the whole. We're going to just grab a box and see it even bigger. So
there you go. Yeah.
I feel like it's kind of been overblown. People complaining about a logo because honestly, if you want to talk about the least important feature of a golf ball, I would have to say the logo. This is an improvement for sure, in my opinion. I actually kind of like the SG thing they've done here. I would have liked to see it
Yeah.
kind of be almost bigger. I think bigger,
Mm-hmm.
maybe bigger, bolder. And the tricky thing is,
Bigger.
I think like Bridgestone and the just the big B now, I think it would look better without Snell Golf on it. But not everybody, especially right, it's a brand new logo. So if anybody finds this and it doesn't say Snell Golf, maybe you're smart enough to look up MTB Prime and see what you've actually found. But
Yeah.
if you don't know, you don't know. And so I get why
Right.
they included Snell Golf on it. I think it would look way cooler if it was just a bigger, bolder kind of
Yeah.
primary SG thing. But I mean,
It
I get it.
it and as much as logos don't matter in terms of performance, you're totally right. But like, I mean, Vice has killed it in
Yeah,
a
but
lot of ways
what is that
because
Vice logo really? I mean, it's just script, right? And we
it's a
are
cool
familiar.
script.
Yeah,
Yeah.
never seen
It's
anything like it before.
no. Have you ever seen it anywhere
No,
else, Tony?
no, nothing
Where
like it
else
at
haven't
all.
you seen it?
Yeah, nowhere.
Hmm.
Definitely entirely unique. Um, anyway,
Tongue firmly in cheek. Yeah. Right. So it is what it is. I think the logo's better. It's not 100%. I wouldn't give it the 100% passing grade. It is better than the one before. And ultimately, consumers will decide. We'll see. But I think it's enough better not to be a distraction. Like, oh, geez,
I
like,
can't imagine
yeah,
that anybody's gonna be like, well, I really like the performance of this golf ball. I like the price point, but I just can't play it because of this logo.
right.
Maybe that guy exists. I don't know. It's
Possibly. But in
okay.
terms of, okay, let's get into the important stuff then.
Okay.
Yes, they created a new logo, which, great, fantastic. But there were up to a little bit more than that because again some of this being forced hand being forced a little bit from
Got time to
the
kill.
time to kill and the factory shift going, okay, we got a couple different dynamics going on here. We need new
A lot of
partners
a
on the
lot of
manufacturing side,
a lot of balls
and
in
we
the
need
air.
a lot of
Yeah. I'll see myself out. Thank you.
yeah, you will. I love dad jokes. So but they came up with some new stuff, right? So Dean's a tinker. He's a very, very bright guy. That's never been in dispute. Like he is a very, very smart individual, particularly when it comes to golf ball design, material formulation, etc. What did they come up with? What in his little mad laboratory?
Yeah, so kind of interesting, but this is the first time that they've gone out and done serious materials research on their own. So kind of not just taking existing stuff and time and temperature and playing with the recipe a little bit, but this was actually going out, finding new blends, trying to apply them to new golf balls. And so you do have for the first time sort of I guess you could say a bit more proprietary chemistry on the inside, but certainly uh, yeah, just a different approach. We're gonna start almost from scratch. We've got this time, so let's see what's out there that we can maybe integrate into a new golf ball design. So it's the kind of thing larger companies do, and so it's I guess when you have some downtime as Snell did, it was an opportunity, and it's one of those things where that big OEM experience, working at
Right.
Titleist, working at Taylormade,
Mm-hmm.
it brings a level of knowledge in that type of process. Like he knew where to start. And I think a lot of the smaller DTC brands that are just ordering stuff off a factory menu don't even have that. Yeah, I'm going to develop something unique. How do I do that?
Well, yeah, and I think, like you said, larger ball companies have teams and teams within teams and dedicated individuals to do just that, right? Research new materials, test new aerodynamic patterns, and they're
Yeah, there are
const-
groups within departments at every OEM like
and
this.
that's
Like,
all they
this
do.
is this is the material research group. They just go out and try and find cool new stuff that may or may not prove to be viable in a golf ball, or whether it's on the driver side, face materials and carbon layups and all that kind of thing. So
Hmm.
yeah,
So they had
dedicated.
some time to dig into that a little bit more. Came up with some new formulations, and then they had to source some new factories, right? So we've
Yeah.
like we said, we put in our I think Ball Lab kind of bears this out. Like, again, Foremost and Nassau, for the most part, do a really, really solid job, particularly in companies that have a relationship where they can pay for maybe get some better QC, QA measures and things like that. We've mentioned MaxFly and others where the balls come in, they're very, very consistently made. And now saying, okay, we can't get access to that factory, but we know that we can't just put out
Crap.
tons of just junky crappy golf balls and see what happens.
And I thought it was
So
interesting, Dean saying that. He went out and, got some, I guess, call them prototypes or whatever, some stuff made by some factories, and he was very honest. He's like, some of it was really bad. And so it's like, well, that's not going to work. We've got to find a way to ramp up the quality here. And so that's kind of where the next piece of it came, where first seeking out multiple factories. And to me, that's kind of the interesting part of it, where there are now 2 factories qualified to make Snell balls, qualified by the Snell Golf team. So making sure that they have processes in place, reporting infrastructure so that they can keep track and know what's going on. And if there are any issues that are cropping up, all of that stuff, which you would take for granted inside a Callaway factory, a Titleist factory at this point.
right.
And to think, like, it's crazy to think, but some ball factories that are probably making at least DTC and maybe some stuff for OEMs as well didn't have that stuff in place. So that was part of what Dean has been up to, is working with those factories, setting up a qualification process, making sure that things are in place to reach a quality standard. So far, 2 factories. I think that's an interesting part of the story. Is right now, the standard MTB Prime is being made at a factory in China. We don't know which factories yet. We'll figure it out. Yet. The MTBX is coming out of Taiwan, so you have different factories producing the ball. So I'm like, are we going to see any type of quantifiable quality difference between the two? And then as part of this, he's looking to qualify at least 2 more factories. The idea being you can build in this redundancy. And again, hopefully everybody's making product as consistently as they should. But the idea is build in redundancy so you don't have this situation that you had with the previous generation of MTB and MTBX, where I had one factory, and when that factory could no longer provide a supply, that was it. That was the end of inventory for kind of forever.
I mean, without any certainty of when there might be new inventory, like, well, it's TBD, and we'll kind of see. And we'll get to the proprietary part of it in a minute, because I want to ask you kind of a deeper question on that. But we talk a lot about aerodynamics. Golf balls have dimples, right? Dimples are important because dimples are what allow the ball to stay in the air a certain amount of time, and trajectory, and
dimples are what define or dictate the trajectory or the overwhelming majority of it.
Yeah. So, one, they're very, very expensive to constitute, right, to create, and to, a lot of the molds, right, that end up going for that. So it's something that if you're making a ball on your own, it's really, really expensive.
Impossible.
Cost aversive, because you need to have the knowledge, you need to have ways to test it, you need to have ways to implement it, design it, research it, all those things, which
I believe creating a viable dimple pattern, especially a good one, is likely the most complex thing in golf R&D.
Yeah, and I golf R&D guys probably agree with you. Like, hey, it's what separates, this from that. And if we want to, we can really get, down into that rabbit hole at some point. But with this particular one, so this was kind of that tweener situation. It has a 332 dimple pattern on both golf balls. Dean didn't design the dimple pattern. However,
he BASF'd it.
He BASF'd it. He didn't make the dimple design. He made the dimple design better. How so?
Yeah, so we've talked about this. The idea of you can't just slap the same dimple pattern on golf balls with different performance characteristics and expect that both will perform as well or equally as well or as close to their optimal potential.
Right.
Again, because just like with a driver fitting, for example, you're ultimately combining ball speed with launch angle and spin rate
Mm-hmm.
to achieve your optimum, right? That's the goal of a fitting, is like, hey, let's maximize, get the most as we can out of this combination of variables and get you dialed in.
Yeah, so every component matters.
Right. And likewise with a golf ball, your spin is coming effectively from the way the layers interact with each other. Speed is primarily the core.
Mm-hmm.
And then the trajectory, if you want to call that launch, it's, you know, splitting hairs a little bit, but if the trajectory is driven by that cover, that aerodynamic package, and so if that package doesn't play nicely or optimally or something close to with the speed and spin characteristics, particularly the spin characteristics of the golf ball, you're not going to get everything you possibly could. And so it's things like, you know,
Right.
in this case, what Dean did was take the kind of that stock dimple pattern and play with things like the depth of the dimples, the edge radii, that kind of thing, and just tweak them subtly so that you could kind of tune the performance to match each one of the golf balls. So, you know, if you were to look at them, they would appear to be the same, but there is some nuance and some differences between what you get with each ball.
Yeah, so it's one of those things, right, where it's somewhere in between this. People all the time, right? What's a DTC ball? Well, you guys talk about this brand is DTC and that one is, and it's like, right, there's a lot of gray area in between what that is, and we'll try to define it here a little bit better in a minute. But two models, both of them are three-piece, both have 332 dimple patterns, again, moderated a bit for each ball based on its launch and flight characteristics. Right now, two different places of manufacture, so two different manufacturing locations. You have MTB Prime and Prime X. So really quickly, run us through, what are the differences besides what the colors are? Is that green and purple?
That's fair. Like a nice comforting lavender, perhaps.
Oh, a comforting lavender.
We'll go with that.
All right.
So it
Anything
kind of
in
interesting, but this
hibiscus or something?
It's almost amusing because this is you wonder how it happens so often, because we hear it quite a bit in the golf ball space, where
right,
companies are like, yeah, with our previous generation, we felt like the balls were too similar.
right.
And so this time we're going to pull them apart. And, I've talked about TP5 and TP5X current generation. I think we're going to see them go that way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what Dean has said, is with MTB and MTBX non-prime versions of previous generation,
Right.
there maybe wasn't the type of separation between the balls that made it easier for a golfer to kind of look at the performance characteristics, see it on a golf course, and say, "Oh yeah, this is the Snell Golf ball for me." And so, kind of taking them and separated them a little bit more.
Venn diagram, too much overlap. Circles overlapping too much. Let's move those circles. There's always going to be some overlap, or likely within that particular space, but we want them to be meaningfully different, like you said, so the golfers can really, get a couple sleeves of each, or however they go about their ball testing process, see differences, feel differences, and like you said, ultimately reach a comfortable decision. It's like, hey, nope, Prime X is the better ball for me, or Prime is clearly the better ball for me. So they're both three-piece, but how are these two different?
So the standard Prime, which is your black box, the black box MTB Prime. So this one is going to be, of the two, it's going to be a little bit softer. We, on our gauge, call it low mid 80s. It's kind of in that Bridgestone Tour BXS range. That's probably, for me, that's kind of like that 83 to 85 kind of ball. So that's kind of the feel space.
Talking compression numbers there, right? Those are compression.
Yeah, so it's definitely going to be the one that feels softer of the two. It's going to be the lower flying, higher spinning as well. And that's really kind of off. Dean says, hey, they're both low spin off the driver. They both spin really well around the green, which is pretty much what everybody who makes a golf ball says these days.
Right.
So I would expect off the irons, You'll definitely see the standard MTB Prime spin a bit more. I expect you'll notice a little bit higher spin off a driver as well. Not high spin, but higher
No,
spin.
right?
And then, piece it together, right? The MTB Prime X will
Blue
fly
box.
higher, spin less. Again, I think you'll probably see it spin less off a driver, off irons, greenside spin. Again, supposed to be really good. And this one's going to have a firmer feel as well. This one on our gauge, again, this is not thorough
Full ball
measurements.
lab, yep. But
Right,
yeah,
by any means. This one came right out at 96, 97 in there. So
okay.
your notable comps are Chrome Soft X and a Pro V1X. That's kind of the place the compression space we're playing with.
Okay.
So it's going to feel a bit firmer. And then kind of one other, I don't know how well this is going to come through on the video, but you can in person you can see it. It's subtle. I can definitely see it this way, but Dean has intentionally colored these a bit differently. So the standard MTB Prime is kind of a softer, brighter white, and the Prime X has just a hint of, I don't want to say yellow because it's not a yellow ball by any means, just like a warmer white. If you've ever had to pick out contractor grade paint on a new house where what you have is, you can have your pick of these 7 colors and they're all white.
Right.
It's that kind of variation, but a cooler white versus a warmer white.
Why the different colors?
So Dean said it's kind of convey that sense of feel, and the idea of being like, the brighter, cooler white looks a little softer.
Okay.
Whereas the slightly warmer white may look a little firmer to some. So it's kind of conveying the feel with the cover, I guess. Okay. So it's
a little color research.
It's interesting. It's interesting. It's different.
Yeah. I mean, it's the one to dig into, right? Like, right. There's a bunch of research out there on colors and how it makes people feel perhaps in some of those things. So, but that's not one that we've really run into much before, right? Right. Companies doing a designated tint shade tweak to evoke or try to align with a desired level of feel with the ball. So something unique, something different. Haven't run into that one much. So
we'll go with it.
How much these things cost, Tony? Because we've seen this increase, right? We've seen in some places when, go back just really quickly, like PXG, when they came out with their ball, both you and I said, fractionally high for where we wanted to see it in terms of that meaningful separation from top tier premium balls. Going, okay, my gosh, that is a no.
I still maintain 40's too high.
I know you do. So, but we've also seen other prices creep up a couple dollars here and there.
I might tell you 55 is too high for anybody. So,
and companies will point to, no doubt. I mean, container costs, shipping costs, and things going up 5x, 10x, even more than that in some cases. And like I said, those costs generally are passed along to the consumer, to you and me. Where does Snell come in?
$32.99, so kind of right where he's been. It's where he wants to be. He's talked about wanting to provide that value, and I think Dean legitimately looks at it as like he's had a good life, a good career, and that's doing no small part to guys who play golf and spend money on golf products. And so he's always said like he wanted to give something back by way of an affordable, high performing product. And so that's kind of always been kind of his position in the market and how he wanted to do things. And so he's coming in, staying there at $32.99. If you buy bulk, you can buy in bulk
multiple dozen. Yep.
5 dozen for $149, which quick math guys, $29.99.
$30 a dozen.
There you go.
Call it.
And so that's it.
And I get the sense, right? I get the sense people generally, I mean, I'd be interested to ask the manufacturers as well, but beginning of the year, right? A lot of times we see ball companies do promotions. Hey, buy 3 dozen, get 1 free.
Still some good ones going on right now.
Still some good ones out
there. Bridgestone, the Titleist one just ended, but there are Strixon double dozens on prior gen. So lots of good deals out there. We actually have a post I threw up. I got to take the Titleist balls out of it because that is no longer applicable. Now is the time.
But I think my gut coming in, like I said, whether it's 30 dozen, 33 is that, dozen, but depending on how many you decide to buy, I think that's the sweet spot. I think that's a great place for that ball to be, and really any ball when you want to make that story of, hey, I remember one of the very first times we talked with teams, say, hey, the whole idea is, tour level performance, and at that point in time, it was like at half the price. This isn't quite there in terms of the 50% amount, but it is a meaningful difference for the guy or gal looking to say, hey, I need 98.9% of the performance of this or whatever, and I'm more than happy to maybe give up that 1% for $20 in my pocket per dozen. Happy to do that. I think that provides meaningful pricing separation for sure. So I have to give him props for that. I like that.
And he didn't even, granted, it turned out to not be the best deal for long because of the inventory issues. But even when container prices climbed through the roof,
which they did,
Dean kept his prices steady. So even though he's paying significantly more to get the product here,
yellow coming in August. So yellow is coming.
Summerish,
right now. Summerish,
it's coming. It'll be
some point. I don't know why I picked August. That just felt like a summer month.
You say August, or is that late? Sometime in summer. I don't know. It's just one of those kind of things. You got to finalize the color and say, this is the tint, the hue that I'm going for. And then because yellow, as far as the USGA is concerned, is functionally a different golf ball. There may be something to that anyway, but
got to go back through all those processes.
Got to go
resubmit
and submit the yellow models to the USGA as well. So those will be coming once all of that all the requisite hoops have been jumped through.
Oh, son of a gun! Well, that's a lot. There's going to be more coming on Snell. Like I said, it's kind of a rebrand, a relaunch. It's a new era. Glad to see them back. I think the DTC ball space is better when Snell is a part of it, no doubt. And we'll see. We'll see how it goes. We got ball labs coming. We got other tests coming this summer with ball performance stuff. So no doubt that is not the last you'll hear from Snell.
We're getting closer to finalizing the big ball test plan. So
yeah, we are. Big ball test plan. Big ball test guy over there. That's funny. Last week we asked people out of 15th club, kind of, hey, what would you carry in your bag? Maybe. I think Vokey heard us. I think Bob Vokey was listening in, like, hey,
have I got a bad idea for you?
Have I got a terrible idea for the vast majority of amateur golfers? And we're going to come out with it. So what do they got? What do they got coming out this summer? Late summer, August, I think ish. Maybe that's why I said August on the one before.
No,
it just feels like August.
Oh, I know. I wrote down. You know what? I sent you bad notes. I wrote August, but it's Augusta. So it's this week. Typo.
No wonder amazing. I felt. Isn't that funny how you can change one letter?
Can change you from, change that entirely. No, this
changes from the very first tournament of the major season in Georgia to the
FedEx
8th month of
crap.
To the 8th month of the year. All right, so it's coming out this week.
Yeah, this is by the time this is on the YouTubes, this will be available. So this is Vokey does this every year. It's kind of funny, right? Everybody comes out with like limited edition gear for the Masters to celebrate the Masters, commemorate the Masters, and Vokey's like, you know what? We're going to come out with some limited edition gear designed to be played at the Masters.
Right.
And so,
what do we got here?
Annually, it's almost always a low bounce wedge. Sometimes 64. We've seen tee grinds. We've seen a mix over the years. So this time, this is the 64-degree W grind. 64 dubs.
64 dubs. Like you said, it's a low bounce, not a lot of heel relief, mostly mostly for kind of square face shots. Wide sole isn't crazy.
Mid width, kind of look at it as like low bounce K grind light. I know not everybody's familiar with the K grind, but the signature feature of the K grind is this big wide sole.
Yeah,
really, really about as wide of a sole as you're going to find in a low bounce wedge. This one maybe kind of splits the difference ish between the K and the T. Kind of, yeah, mid width, not
What's in
narrow like the
between a
T.
K and a T? The W, apparently. That doesn't work on the alphabet.
Yeah,
But
somebody needs to really think this stuff through.
yeah, exactly. But let
And
me ask you a
I
question.
wish I had one to show you, but I did not get a sample. I don't know if I need to take that up with Corey or Aaron, but
Probably both. What I would do is I'd thin a couple wedges at Aaron's car and
different
see.
Aaron though. It was Aaron Dill whose car I almost hit. This is other Aaron.
Other Aaron. Yeah, that's
Wedge
fair.
the other Wedge Aaron.
Right?
There's a lot of anyway.
But here's a question.
We've digressed.
So somebody else is watching this going, why this wedge? Why? Like, I get when people come out with driving irons for, let's say, the British Open or the Open. It's firm, it's fast, it's windy. I need to hit something low, blah, blah, blah. What is it about Augusta that makes we say, hey, here's a unique tool for the unique circumstances?
It's kind of funny because you mentioned the Open where it's firm and fast. They need to hit it low, especially with the wind.
Right.
And Augusta, it's kind of the same setup. It's firm and it's fast. But because we're talking about going into greens now, I need to hit it high. I need to get it up fast. I need to get it down soft.
Yep.
And so that's kind of the idea of the 64W is this, get up fast hand guys, hit it straight up in the air, let it come straight back down, and not necessarily be at the mercy of Augusta's bikini wax greens. That's right.
Hey, now you're never going to get an invite. But it's right. It's these delicate.
That was the case before I said that.
Yeah, that's probably fair. But it's this kind of case, right, where you have, around Augusta, you have very, very tightly mown areas. I have never been to Augusta, nor have I ever tried
as I have heard.
As I've heard, really, really tough. Very, very demanding around the greens from chipping, pitching perspective, and so having a very deft touch and being able to hit very precise chips and pitches around the greens is exceptionally advantageous, right? And so giving you a little bit more loft, a 64 degree, and giving you some of that low bounce and low bounce characteristics, this is a tool that is, like I said, uniquely designed for the conditions that players are going to run into at a venue like Augusta, and B, are touring professionals that have this, requisite skills to use such an implement, which, like I said, I'm sure plenty of amateurs will buy it. It's limited edition or whatever the case is, but it's probably something best left in the hands of not me.
Yeah, even at the tour level, this is not an every week wedge. And I think if you kick the tires and asked around, I think the lob wedge, your highest lofted wedge in any given bag, is the one that sort of that would be tweaked the most often to depending on the course condition. So not an everyday wedge for sure. I mean, just looking at it, I think it'd be a hell of a lot of fun to play with. 64
I'd love
degree
to give
wedges
it a run,
are,
right?
Yeah. They're a lot of fun because of what you can do with them. But as we touched on, when it's such an easy club to miss, it's easy to put a blade into it. It's easy to hit it a little high on the face and have it go nowhere. So it's I don't know that anybody's going to be taking a full swing with this anyway. Even at
hitting it 28 yards.
Yeah, even at tour player ability, the margin for error on that is absolutely minimal. So I think this is going to be kind of your gentle little flops and things like that, and maybe trying to get out of some deep bunkers and things like that. But yeah, not an everyday wedge. Potential to be a lot of fun. Jet black premium finish.
Not the best finish.
It's the next best finish. Best of what's around.
And then watch this. Watch what happens. The forecast, we're seeing some forecast stuff for some wetness, rain, some of those kind of things, which could potentially render this particular club not ideal.
I think you would be less likely to flirt with the 64W.
Yeah. So we'll see.
But available, Vokey Wedge Works, custom order. Some retailers may have inventory while supplies last, and
it's going to sell out.
Light up your torches. Here we go. Yep. $275.
275.
275er.
Ooh. Yep.
So
Fired up. People are gonna
that's. I mean,
respond strongly.
this is what you get when they don't make a lot of them for retail sales. So
And they'll sell out. That's the other thing I'm convinced of. That will also happen. So that's the equipment stuff, Tony. I dug up some questions. Quick hitting, like I'm talking 3-4 minutes total. I just need quick answers from you. Are you ready? 5 questions.
okay.
Ready? Number 1. On a scale of 1 to 10, like we said, you're not a big go to golf tournament guy.
I'm not.
But on a scale of 1 to 10, Augusta being a bucket list item for you. 1 being, whatever, I don't really care if I ever go. 10 being, if I don't go before I die, my life is not complete.
7-ish. It'd be cool to see, but it's not like if it never happens, I'm not heartbroken. Life will
That's
go
higher than I
on
thought.
until I die, in which case it stops going on. But you get the point.
For me, it's a 10, maybe an 11.
Yeah, you haven't been, right?
Nope, never been.
Gonna
Gonna go at some point. I may just show
we
up.
gotta know somebody.
Gotta know somebody. All right, what menu item? The menu there is famous for things. What menu item would you either add or take off if Tony was czar of Augusta menu
Let me
for
see if I
the
can
day?
find it.
What would you actually want?
You know, I know people like
add?
to kind of hate on the pimento cheese, but
They do.
I would keep that just
Mhm.
on principle. Apparently, the peach ice cream sandwich thingy that's kind of
Supposed
the
to be
one.
delectable.
Yeah, I mean,
Supposed to
just
be-
looking at see, I'm good. Like I like a good egg salad.
Yes.
Can't go wrong with a club sandwich. That's
Yeah.
I could ditch either the chicken salad or the ham and cheese.
I see the ham and cheese one for me out.
I mean,
But
it
you got
is
some-
when you kind of look at it, it's the one that's sort of like, all right. We just felt like we needed a ham sandwich for whatever reason.
Right. You can kick that one out for me. That's totally fine. All right. Here's one for you. A bet, $100.
They need a smoothie though. They need some kind of. When you said what should be added,
Yeah.
Augusta needs a signature smoothie. I don't even know how they've stayed in business this long without one, frankly. But yeah,
All right.
Augusta needs a signature smoothie. That's what I'm adding, and it's not because I'm going to Smoothie King 3 times a week now. Like
No, I would add a milkshake. Absolutely,
Okay.
the Augusta shake, like the Harlem shake. You could do like a video for or whatever, but be the Augusta shake. I don't know. Be kind of fun.
Remember when
Tiger.
Taylormade did that? Like they did
Yeah,
the
I
Harlem
do.
Shake video?
We got to find that video and post.
I mean,
it
it's
somewhere
funny. Like I
because
want to mock them, but congratulations!
It was awesome.
It was memorable. So that
It was phenomenal.
All right.
So I saw a bet on one of the betting gambling sites, and they put the over/under in terms of Tiger's finishing place in the tournament at 42.5. Would you take the over or under on that? Do you think he's going to finish better, higher than 42nd and a half place, or do you feel like he's going to finish lower, worse than 42nd
Man, this is like
and a half place?
I think if it was anywhere other than Augusta, I'd take the over. But I'm gonna give Tiger the benefit of the doubt at Augusta here. I'll take the under. I don't think he's gonna win, but yeah, I mean top 40. I feel like
Basically,
Tiger can manage top 40 at Augusta.
Yeah. I think he will, unless the cold, damp weather thing becomes more of an issue than
that's kind of what's done him in recent times since the accident.
It's kind of the kryptonite. Another bet here, Tony, $100. Live versus the field, meaning the winner of the Masters will either be a current live player or not. You taking live or the field?
No chance.
Which one? So you're taking the field?
Give me the field. Yeah.
It's not going to be Brooks. It's not going to be DJ, Cam Smith.
No.
Not Phil. Not Phil. Not James.
No, not Phil.
Okay. All right. I'm taking the field as well. Last question.
Yeah.
Kind of 1 to 2. What's the best piece of Masters themed gear? Because like you said, everybody and their mom comes out with stuff at the beginning of the year with that. And to me, what's really fun is trying to see companies negotiate not getting the legal letter from the department. So right, like you can't use the logo,
Oh,
like the organization of the
oh.
the yellow, the green, the white. Like they're very particular about what you can say and can't say, and we've certainly run afoul of that at times.
I
So
will,
like,
I will tell you what though, in terms of cease and desist letters,
uh-huh.
the legal team representing Augusta National and the Masters is as polite as you can imagine. It's it's about
Because they
as
know you'll
I mean,
comply.
I'm
Like
sure
they don't
I'm
need
sure
to.
it escalates if you do not comply, but
Right.
yeah, I mean it was in terms of what are typically regarded as threatening letters. The letter we received a few years ago from Augusta National's legal team was as non-threatening as they come. So I was like,
Yeah, I mean,
okay,
it wasn't
yeah.
terrible, right? Like, whatever. But do you see anything out there this year, Tony, that really piques your interest?
A lot of it is like, all right, let's paint it green, or like it's all terribly predictable and everybody does it.
Yeah, yeah.
But I will say,
Yep. Yep.
if I had to pick something, we've got a post. We can link to the post. So Connor's done a good job, our soft goods guy, of keeping track of all of the limited edition stuff that we're seeing, soft goods, hard goods, whatever it happens to be. And so at this
Mm-hmm.
particular juncture, I would expect we've got another 2 days of stuff trickling in. But right
I'm
now,
sure.
my favorite is the TaylorMade TP5 Picks
Oh,
season opener golf balls.
okay. I
So
like that.
yeah,
I like
a
that.
little bit of not just the requisite azalea, but then to kind of take the big T-bug letter logo and flower that out as well.
Yeah,
Well
there's
done,
so many. God,
well
there's so
done,
many.
TaylorMade.
There's so many good ones,
I
and
decline free shipping on your website, by the way.
I love seeing a lot of the shoes, and those are fun. But I give the nod to the TaylorMade staff bag. Largest reason being one, I actually last week when I was in Carlsbad, I got to see it in person, and they knocked it out of the park. And in particular, like when you unzip it, they did like linings inside, and so it's cool. They did a really really cool job with it. But like I said, I
Yeah,
give
it's
them the
just
nod
like
just
I'm
because
always like another green staff bag. Clever.
it is. It
Okay.
is clever. All right, last question, Tony.
Oh God.
Who's your winner? Who's going to win it this year? Pick a winner, Bobby.
Oh. I knew this was coming too, and I didn't give it a moment's thought.
I know it's kind of an obvious question to ask around a major tournament coming
Man,
up. Might be like,
let's
who's going to actually,
I
win the
love the
damn
idea
thing?
of Rory winning, but it seems like, man, just let's go with Justin Thomas just for fun.
Whoa,
Yeah,
just
let's just
cause.
pull it out
Might
of
as
thin
well.
air. Yeah.
Okay, I like it. I think if it gets cold and stuff, we're going to get uh, something like the Zach Johnson year when it's cold and wet, and kind of maybe a player that you're not
We're kind of due
necessarily.
for one of those, right? Like
Hmm.
the
Not Scotty Scheffler, not.
yeah, not kind of like one of those Danny Willett, what just happened kind of years. Yeah,
Hmm.
it might be
Yeah,
due.
so I'm as much as I love the big players playing well. Max Honma would love to see him in there. Would love to see Scotty
Did you
Scheffler
say
play well.
Hanma? Did
Yeah,
you?
Max Homa,
There you
Max
go.
Honma. New He has a
uh,
new licensing deal, Mister Augusta.
it's such an easy
Uh,
mistake with what we do.
um,
Uh,
so we'll see. I'm thinking it's going to be. I want to see like a Tommy Fleetwood. Somebody where maybe just not totally on everybody's radar, but has had a pretty strong year, playing well. And then you catch lightning in a bottle. You get the Danny Willett year. You get the Zach Johnson year. If it's playing that long and you're laying up like Zach did famously on all the par fives, with how they link in 13. Look at guys that play really well from 100 yards and in. Could be somebody like that. That's kind of what I'm thinking. We'll see. I don't know. I'm gonna watch every minute of it. So I'm gonna watch, from first thing I can get on ESPN Plus through all the recap at night. So if you need any notes or things, let me know. But I'll be in it for 13, 14 hours a day, whatever I can do to get in there. I know you won't.
God bless you.
Well, between the two of us, we watch an average amount of
14
golf.
hours a day.
Between the two of us, we're very average.
Yeah. I guess that makes it 7. So
yeah, plus or
anyway.
minus. And we are off next week, so don't come looking for us next week. We're gone. But the week following,
we'll be back.
will be
Maybe
back.
some new stuff. I don't know. We're talking about tweaking things a little bit here.
Little tweaks, little things.
Anyway, that's that. Let us know. Leave a comment and let us know what you think about the new Snell logo. Major talking point for whatever reason. So there you have it.
Let us know. We'll rock and roll from then. Until next time, Golf Spy T, Golf Spy C, Chris Nickel, Tony Covey. Some stuff's breaking in your house, Tony. You should go figure out what that is. But until then, we're out.